John was working in his science lab, got blasted by gamma rays. Now he's Smash Trivia John, always smashing. He's friends with Ruffalo, crushing on Maslany, and also Sydney Sweeney. John's here saying, hello my gamma friends, welcome to the show, the Gamma Analysis Podcast.
Smash.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies, studio shows, and also do random other geeky films. Hope you enjoy. Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening, please do something. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk be angry. Now smash right into this episode. Today's episode is a review of Thunderbolts, asterisk, with Call Me Cousin from Twitter. How you doing?
Hey, I'm here. I'm alive. Yeah, cousin, or Ben, cousin Ben instead of Uncle Ben. I get that one all the time. I happened to choose that name. Now my friends are all threatening to Spider-Man me. I'm like, but I don't want to die for the spiders.
This film, I really enjoyed it, but there's one thing about it that I do not like. Like I've talked about this on Twitter. I should quickly say there will be spoilers in this podcast.
There will be spoilers. I'm not good enough to do an analysis without spoilers.
But for the most part, I absolutely love this film. But there's one little thing that I really dislike, which is something that most people love about it, and that is the second post-credits scene. I really disliked that because of the commercialization of the Avengers and the things it says about Sam Wilson just feels so out of character to me.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that either. Like, I know they had to bring it up in some way, but I don't think he's the type to get, like, litigious over it.
Yeah, he's not someone who I think would ever care to copyright the Avengers.
Yeah, I don't think he would.
And not only that, but I don't believe he's the kind of person who would refuse to work with these people just because they had bad past.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's just it. I don't think he would disapprove of anyone Bucky was at least okay with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he wouldn't like want them to operate if Bucky was like, nah, they're fine.
Yeah. Heck, he's already worked with people who've had bad past, like Bucky.
Yeah, like Bucky.
Like, it's insane the idea that he would be against it. And I've seen people be like, "Oh, it's because this is a government-funded thing." Okay,
yeah, but Ross in Captain America 4, Ross wanted him, presumably with government authority, wanted him to bring back the Avengers. Like,
the thing to me is like, I'm like,
so it's not.
This isn't really a government controlled team.
No, it's CIA. Valerie was head of the CIA.
What I'm saying is, one, as they said at the end of the film, they own Val. Val's not controlling them. They're controlling Val, if anything.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think this is being run through her being part of the government.
I don't think it is.
This is being run through the secret corporation that she owns. She doesn't even want the government to know about. That's a very big distinction, I think.
I think so too. And like you said, I don't think Sam's gonna care that enough to get litigious about it, but lawsuit it. But I know that they had to get that tease of the other Avengers team, which I assume hopefully will be Kate and Kamala and Jen and Sam and Carol. Like,
hopefully all those characters are on it. Hopefully it's
well,
not.
they need at least 5 of them. Like, and there's your
Hopefully
basic
it's
like
not.
available startup.
I wouldn't. Sadly, with the way the MCU is going, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those characters aren't on it, and they
Yeah.
instead have just a whole bunch of males.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't assume it either. Like,
Especially with in the
fucking
first round of casting announcements for Doomsday, the
yeah,
utter lack of
sausage fest.
females.
The utter lack of any of the female characters. It's annoying as shit. Can I point out a niggle I had with Captain America 4 real quick?
Sure.
And that was, I don't think like the ex fucking chemically controlled Black Widow should not have not believed the mind control. Like, she should have instantly, immediately been, oh shit, someone else has mind control. This is not good.
There is a lot of problems with Captain America 4. So
Yeah. But my specific big niggle was she should have never not believed them. It should have been like, oh shit, somebody else has mind control. I need to panic now. Like,
I'm very glad though that they did not bring that character back in this.
Yeah, I'm saying it was primed for her to come back, and like it really didn't need it because she's
piece of shit.
Yeah, pain in the ass, piece of shit. Yeah, but no, Thunderbolt. Oh my god! So I really love that we're doing like, because to me, my brain has always like equivalented like blip, pandemic. Like, that's my brain has done that. It's like blip, pandemic. So like the world feels like that today. Like, everybody is going through it. Oh my god, this movie is a vibe. Just fucking Yelena standing on that building in the opening being like, I'm just an empty ass void. I'm sitting there in the theater like, oh my god, I feel.
Oh yeah. This film is easily the like realest way that the MCU has ever dealt with mental health and depression and trauma, and I love that about it.
Oh yeah.
And and though this is side that I bet a lot of people probably don't like because they want onto their superhero movies to be big battles. But I love the fact that it ends with a hug.
Yes, yeah. I love all the like low key, like I am enjoying that we are hitting a point where our resolutions are no longer violence based in our stories. Especially like our superhero media. Like we're finding different ways to solve these problems.
One thing that I personally really want to see one of these days within one of these solo films is that our main character decides in the end they don't have to deal with this themselves. They can get some friends to come help them that don't appear for the rest of the film. They just come in for the final battle because our main character was like, hey, I need some help. And I think when we finally get to that happening in a film, that's going to be such a powerful statement about how we don't always have to deal with our problems alone. We can
alone, exactly.
Have our friends help.
That brings me to another like Captain America. I think the perfect like and to stop any like people being like, oh, she got mad because she wasn't given a cameo in Captain America 4. Tatiana Maslany was never going to be in Captain America 4. However, if she was, what they should have done was have her show up late to stop Ross.
The thing is,
like in the She-Hulk form, it should have been like, oh, I'm here.
Narratively for Captain America 4, I think that both Hulk and She-Hulk absolutely should have shown up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bucky should have helped him in the final fight as well.
Oh yeah, Bucky should have.
But within like the real world.
But like,
I don't think there was ever any chance
oh no,
of Hulk or She-Hulk appearing
oh no,
in
no. But
that.
like
And I
theoretically,
don't think that they wanted to appear.
I
The
don't.
actors
Yeah,
wanted to appear
yeah. But it,
because they are both very pro-Palestine, and that's the one film that the
yeah,
BDS movement literally was telling everyone, "Hey, this is kind of messed up. There's that they have this character of Sabra in here."
yeah, yeah.
And that's played by an actress who quite literally narrated a propaganda film that treats Palestinians as wild wolves coming to eat your children.
Oy.
It's not a good
Yeah.
look.
It isn't, but like the perfect way she could have showed up was showing up a little late. Like Ross is already changed back, and she rocks up, and she's like, "I'm ready to fight." Oh, hi. Like, do you need a lawyer, Ross? You're gonna need a lawyer. like, she just like rocks up to the end scene, like she just lands, and she's in the superhero suit from like the end of She-Hulk, and she's like, "I'm ready, I'm here." Oh, hi everyone. I guess I can still help. I'm a lawyer. Like, but yeah, but as for Thunderbolts, I love that we're getting to the Marvel point where like they don't really have antagonists anymore. Like Grief has sort of become the main antagonist of the MCU lately.
Yeah.
Like WandaVision, Agatha all along was all about her grief over that. Like Yelena's grief over just everything that's happened to her.
And I think another thing that's really cool that they've started doing, and I know they particularly did with this, and they did with the Marvels, is they put a massive amount of like the of
the Marvels
care
was like
care into having our characters save people, not just fight the big bad. They had them and particularly getting people out of harm's way.
yeah.
And that's a big thing that I think a lot of superheroes movies these days don't understand, that superheroes aren't just there to fight, they're also there to save.
Crowd control. Yeah, like famously one of like rescue being, that's the whole reason that armor is called rescue, is because Pepper prefers to do like disaster rescue. Because that's
like when we see seeing this it's Bucky stopping that like I think vehicle from hitting someone, or when we have like all of them holding up this this piece of
the chunk of concrete, because the roof.
like I love that so much, because that's really what being a superhero should be considered about, not just fighting the big bad.
Yeah, like you need to do damage control for your fights, and you need to actually help people and not just stop the villain. And I think this is sort of an analysis of like, as a movie, in like, yeah, superheroes need to be more than just the action. Like they need to be like relatable people that have fucking issues and deal with shit. And it's
I think like this film managed to be one of the darkest films that Marvel's produced, but I think it's still like they made sure it's so full of heart, and it's so funny as well, and I love that. I think that's because I, for one, am usually not a big fan of things that are super dark, because I don't like things being super serious.
Yeah, it was serious. Super
dark. But this, because they kept all the heart, and they had had all the humor,
like the sincerity behind it, like,
and they had all the humor from the characters. Still, I think that that made it so that it being dark was not a problem for me.
It's like, and I love stuff like this. I love character deconstructions. I prefer more of a dark tone. Now, granted, I love whimsy too. Like Agatha all along had me laughing constantly. I love rather whimsical things. Like, I just, loved how they handled the depiction of self-destructive tendencies. Like that scene in the bathroom with Yelena is supposed to be like an indicator of she tried to kill herself. She tried to drink her, like, the only thing they couldn't do was bloody up her wrists. Like, that was an indication of I passed out drinking in the bathroom for bad reasons. Probably because she swallowed a fucking bottle of NyQuil and she's got like the super soldier in her saved her life. Like,
absolutely. And like, another thing within this is that I cannot imagine any other Marvel film outside maybe Deadpool referencing something like this.
Oh yeah,
and the character referenced that they were on meth.
Oh yeah. I was on meth at the time. Such a hilarious way to the fucking Family Guy chicken fight. Did you realize that's a Family Guy reference? Yeah, fucking Family Guy chicken. I was on meth at the time.
Like even something as simple as that is more real than anything Marvel usually will have.
And just like the references of both Yelena and Alexei drinking just so much.
Oh yeah, but I loved the dynamic of these characters in this. I think they were all so well done. It sucks that Taskmaster got shafted.
Taskmaster got so shafted. Well, I on one hand I kind of get it. They had to do something with her, and they're not gonna like the movie's tone. Like you could have done this like self-sacrifice for her, but I don't know where you would have put it. Is the thing.
I think with her,
like she could have been. I think it would have worked had she been the one like to initially run out and try and fight the soldiers out of the back of the car, and they shot and killed her and got Bob too.
I actually think what would have been best.
Or like Bob runs out with her.
Like I think it is smart. There was some death in this film, but
yeah,
I think that her death should have come at the hands of the Void.
Yeah,
shouldn't have been so early in the film. Just happened by Ghost. I think it should have been in later if when the Void shows up.
Well, and I think what they were trying to show with the Void was that it wasn't killing people, though. Like, yeah, she could have died to the Void, but the whole thing was, if you watch the end of the movie, people come back after they got voided.
The thing is, the Void can both send people into that like void dimension, but also as we saw, he is super strong and he was able. He fought the Thunderbolts outside of the Void as well. I think in that scene in Avengers Tower, they could have had that he ends up killing her.
Maybe even accidentally, like he's too strong and he just takes a bad swing and like cracks her head open.
I think that would have fit better at her.
Yeah.
And like you have
and I think you're right.
I think it actually could be like,
well, I think it also would have served to like tip him darker. Like it would have been like his God complex turn would have made more sense if he just accidentally, like he was shell shocked from just accidentally killing a human being. Like,
and I think it also could be like the like a kind of fitting sort of thing to have a fight between two characters who are known to be characters who you're not supposed to be able to defeat. But because Taskmaster, you're also not supposed to be able to defeat because her whole thing is she replicates your moves.
Yeah.
But she can't replicate the moves of someone who's super strong and can fly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I
think that would make for a really good. But then sadly they had her just get killed at the beginning, which.
Yeah, and she was stronger than he was stronger than at least 3 versions of the super soldier serum, because they had Bucky, Red Guardian, and fucking Walker fighting him. So he was stronger than at least 3 versions of the super soldier serum, is like, so Taskmaster having like one of Taskmaster had a version of the super soldier serum. Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to compensate for that. She's not able to compensate for flying. I think you're right. I think having maybe even as an accident, or just having it be he gets too heated and does it in a snap moment of impulse, he lets that dark go. Maybe she is actually straining him and he overreacts to being pushed.
Mm-hmm.
You could have had that. I think that would have been good. But yeah, she got shafted. I think that's my least favorite part, is that Taskmaster did get shafted. But I kind of get it from a standpoint of it would have been an overcrowded film otherwise. Even now, as it is, the Bucky and Ava kind of fall into the background.
I can see that. I think that they could make it work with having her still around, because if she were around for the whole film, it would be just like the first Avengers film, because where it was 6 members of the team.
Yeah.
So I think they could have figured out a way to make that work.
But
it's all
right
that they didn't.
I think they're waiting on that 6th slot to surprise backdoor somebody in somewhere.
Well, I'm pretty sure the 6th slot is the Void, Oid, or Bob.
Yeah.
Bob.
Well, he did mention in the after credit scene that he can't do that.
Well, yeah, but I imagine since he's going to be in Doomsday, I imagine they'll probably have somehow he gets to use his powers. But
now that they have Sentry, I'm very excited for them to get the Phoenix, because the kind of what they did in Thunderbolts was a Phoenix arc. The Phoenix takes over Jean Grey and she just becomes, the Phoenix as an avatar. And it just sort of starts driving people to their darkest moments. There was a Phoenix arc where that happened.
Mm-hmm. Now one particular character I want to talk about is Lexi, Red Guardian.
Yeah, Alexi.
I love Alexi in these movies. And I think that this film added great layers to him.
Yes.
And he was just the comic relief, I think, in Black Widow versus
he was
this.
He was a little more in Black Widow. Yeah, he was the comic relief mostly. He was much more of a person, an actual I have thoughts and feelings and can work out my own bullshit in this movie.
Yeah, he's still really funny in this. I love his humor in this, but I also love that we get to see this emotion from him, when he thinks that Yelena has died.
Yeah, when he thinks that Yelena's dead and he just starts freaking out. And it takes all 3 of them to hold him back. Did you notice that? John grabs him from the front and Ava has to grab him from the back. And yeah, it takes all of them to haul him off. Bucky's got him from one side.
It really shows how, even though he wasn't actually her father, he really did feel like he's her father, and that's such a powerful thing. And that even though they wanted it to just be a mission for him, but and when he had them as children, but it didn't feel like that to him.
It didn't, yeah. Well, and to me, that was kind of one of my criticisms of Black Widow, is that 3 years to a child is going to feel like a lifetime. And so it made sense why they were super attached, but it didn't make sense why Melina and Alexi were more attached than they were, because that's not a long time for an adult. That's not really that long of a time for an adult. But I get it, and I get it showed more of him being it showed more why he was attached in this film, and I liked that, because it did show that he was very much hiding his attachment in Black Widow. He was very much no, it was just a mission and putting on that front, and now you find out that they were the highlight of his life. And why were they? Because even though 3 years isn't a whole lot of a time to an adult, he didn't have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
that was his family. Can you imagine like pretending to be in a family? Like, yeah, 3 years ain't that long, but experiencing that for that amount of
Yeah,
time, you'd miss it.
yeah, and you would grow
You would
attached to
get attached.
these
Yeah.
people, and especially since like they were raising them.
Yeah, they were. They were raising
It
and
was
training and doing
technically
things.
fake, but
But it
within
wasn't
that fake,
fake.
they had to do real things.
Yeah, it wasn't fake day to day. It's kind of the same way people say wrestling is fake. Yeah, it's scripted, but they still do the stuff. Like, they're still out there doing all the flippy shit. So, like, it's the same, they still had to, like, comfort them when they were upset or give them medicine when they were sick or try to be some sort of decent parent so their cover
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't get blown. Like,
Hey,
and just his face, like he is devastated. Like I tell you, he knows there's nothing he can do against Bob, and yet he is still trying to barrel towards this guy. Like,
well, yeah,
yeah. And that devastating, like that is one of like the most heartful moments in the movie, and it's one of the most heartful moments that like Marvel has pulled off. Oh, okay, Agatha all along, but it's one of the most heartful moments that like that Marvel has pulled off in its movies for a little while.
mm-hmm. I really do love the things they did with him in this film. The one thing I dislike is how after they get revealed as the new Avengers, he decides to shave his beard. I
Yeah.
don't like him without a beard.
Well,
I want
he's
him
still
to
got
have
the
the
like
beard.
he's got the like close crop, but no, he doesn't have like the
Just
ratty old hermit man
it
beard
just feels
anymore.
wrong.
It does. He needs the ratty old hermit man beard. But I think that was supposed to be like a visual representation of he's not feeling
I
like an alcoholic
yeah, I
bum right
understand.
now.
I get that, but I just like
Yeah, it was a beautiful beard. You're absolutely right.
it adds so much to his character, him having
It
that
does.
look, because it makes him feel unique as a hero.
Yeah, and it also makes him seem like he's not just the bargain bin Avenger. He's like the crusty hobo outside of the Burger King bathroom Avenger. Like,
I am not happy that I'm pretty sure that that means that new look for him is going to be what we get from him in Doomsday for the whole film. I'm like, I don't want him to look like that the whole film. He looks so weird.
yeah.
um,
Ava was one of my favorites. Like she
I
didn't
really
get a lot of
liked.
attention, but what she did get very strongly characterized her as someone who was just barely hanging on. Like,
I really liked her in the film, but I don't like that they kind of skipped over everything that's happened to her previously. Like
yeah. We really don't know what
we
she's been up to since she
yeah. So
pissed off Pym.
well, well when we last saw her, they had given her given her sign that would help her for a temporary time, and then in the post credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp, they were going to back to the quantum realm to try and find her a more permanent fix, and then
Yeah.
the
We
MCU
don't
just
see
acted like that was
I
never like a big deal.
I will say that she did point out that
Yeah, she pointed
yeah,
out
she
that she
pointed out like
wears the
no, she's
suit.
got a better suit. She's pointed out that she built a better suit for herself. In the scene where they're all in the elevator and they're climbing and somebody's got a disturbingly heart-shaped butt. What? It's not my butt, that's my suit. Like, and oh yeah, it's a great suit. Well, yeah, I have to live in this suit. Like, it did seem like she couldn't take it off. Like, it did seem that's what they were implying.
But that's the same thing that was the case in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
You're
And
not wrong.
I think that there should have been at least some reference of like about how due to their actions and they were able to give her a permanent solution and maybe
or just like
and
even
heck,
that they
I feel like
gotta like that they helped her complete the one she'd been working on.
mhm.
Like
Heck,
she'd
I feel
already
like I
knows.
wouldn't be surprised if Hank Pym and Jan Van Dyne would have happily made her a suit that is both works for her and is comfortable.
I think they were supposed to do like she was cut from it from Quantumania.
Yeah, there's like
She
the
had
fact
some
that there
deleted
was
scenes in Quantumania that did like
it's so weird to me how she doesn't appear or even get referenced in Quantum Mania, and then this they don't really mention the
and she
Pims
doesn't even
and any of
right.
that those events.
Yeah, and she doesn't even seem like she seems either back to square one or no better off. Like again, what has she may have gotten blipped, like she may have not had time to work on anything new and then like unblipped
Yeah,
and suddenly completely out of resources. Like
yeah, but it's all but when she
maybe
came
her
back, Pim could have helped her and also it when this film is taking place, it's been 4 years since people came back from the blip.
that's true. You're not wrong.
That's a good bit of time.
I mean, it's been 4 years since the pandemic, and where are we now? But speaking of that, like we know, like it's such a movie that like feels like it's life right now. Like it feels like
But
I feel like it's one of those I feel like I watch this movie and I walk outside and it's all gray and like it feels like that. And you're just like
I'm,
for a second there's a little bit of wonder because you kind of think that it was realistic enough. You kind of think that like, oh good, some superhero shit might happen. Like might
well,
wisen up my day a little.
I do think it's a really good comparison. You're with like the pandemic and talking about how the blip has caused all this depression
Yeah,
and
and
because time that I've said ever since Infinity War and Endgame is I think the Marvel should have done on a anthology series that's set during those five
yes,
years
yes. I don't think
and
they should have entirely skipped over it. I
I
think they
think
should have done some stories in that area.
I say like do an anthology series, have the tone of it be the exact same as the way we have it with Thunderbolts, and like each
Yeah,
episode will be showing
and
like a different facet of how this affected people. Like one episode could be set in a hospital, and
could be
so
set in a hospital.
how people disappearing and reappearing affected them and
Yeah,
stuff like
like
that.
it like show what the blip did to people and how it was. What did Hayward say in WandaVision? Like we needed to keep the lights on somehow. Like show me that. That would be interesting as shit. Like I would love to eat. That would be the perfect excuse to bring
Like
back
there
mutants
has
because what kind of stressors on the planet would cause a bunch of people, like a bunch of teenagers, to just suddenly emotionally, spontaneously combust and gain powers? Like that would be something like the blip. Like it,
like to be honest, so like I don't even need there to be any kind of big superhero fights in this anthology series. I just want to see that human element of how
yeah,
these people act. We've seen how it affected the superheroes, but how about regular people? I want to
yeah.
see how the regular people in a superhero world are affected by having half of all life just disappear. Like, because that's a really interesting thing, and Marvel is the only people who can have a storyline like that for a show.
Oh
They're
yeah.
the only people who can explore that. Uh, um, Let's see what else about this I want to talk about. I the I like the like how we got how there's a bit of a change in personality with John Walker
Yeah,
Oscar, but
yeah. Well,
I
he's
think they made his character so much more deep than he was in
yeah.
Falcon
Well,
and the Winter Soldier.
I think what we're seeing with John Walker is like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's a dude that like he thinks he's a good dude. He
Mm-hmm.
genuinely believes he is a good dude doing the right thing. And well, it turns out he's, your average football jock and a little bit of an asshole and probably like too comfortable with following his asshole tendencies. And then, he's left basically ruined by essentially his own actions as he snapped
Mm-hmm.
in the end of Captain America the Winter Soldier. And so now you have a man that has found out in a deeply personal way that not only is he not who he thought he was, but he is a far cry from anything he thought he knew.
Oh yeah, and it's really I think it was a really good choice within in Thunderbolts to make that the worst moment in his life was not when he messed up at being Captain America.
No,
It's when he messed up with his wife and kids.
it's when he letting messing up as Captain America fuck up the rest of his life. He fucked up once and then he kept obsessing over that fuck up and it cost him even more because he couldn't let it go. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
it rocked the core of who he thought he was.
Oh yeah, it's. I think that was so well done
Yeah,
on all.
and it's again, it's like that pandemic comparison. It's a movie that is honest about the human longing for connection. We
Mm-hmm.
all long to be connected to other people because, as we keep saying, we're social animals. Like,
Yeah.
and so like this really is a character study of people who have just for one reason or another either been forcibly isolated from society or who have self-isolated from society.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it really is so amazing the mental health aspects
Yeah.
they go into with this.
Yeah, I love Yelena. Like, especially you're talking about John Walker. John Walker and Yelena were the standouts, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I loved both Yelena and John. I think they were the standouts. They were sort of like the main characters, more or less. And I think, especially with them, I love that basically this is Marvel out and out saying that being a superhero is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Being a superhero is not a full life.
Oh
And
yeah.
in fact, it's incredibly hard because it makes having an actual full day-to-day life damn near impossible.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Although I don't like the ending with them becoming the new Avengers in that context, to me now kind of feels cyclical. Like I don't really like that they're swinging it back of okay, well now that they're good guys and quote unquote state sponsored superheroes, everything's peachy keen. Like I'm kind of I they could have because again, like you said with the ending scene, I didn't like that because it sort of ruined it. Like it's sort of like it implied that oh, now that they're quote unquote an Avengers team together, everything is all okay now. Like a little too neat of a bow. You know what I'm saying?
I can understand that. I I kind of like them becoming Avengers though, just because I think it shows how
Well, yeah,
even with having a bad past, you can become better.
yeah. And I think that's a good message, but I think the way they did it sort of like it just wraps it up a little too neatly is what I'm saying. Like
Hmm.
especially the end credit scene where it shows them all sort of kicking around and Alexi's in all his sponsored gear and like
Yeah, I
he's
really did not like the sponsored gear and stuff.
he's doing his like brand deal bullshit.
Like between in that and
Although
having
it
the
does
thing
fit
about
his
Sam
character, it absolutely
like
fits his
both
character.
having both though him wearing all of these companies' logos, and then you have Sam Am copywriting Avengers. It really just feels like they're making Avengers so commercialized. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, ew, why are we doing
Yeah.
that? That
Yeah.
sounds
And
awful.
then
I
if you go
really
back to
hope that's
the
not gonna be how it's all gonna feel in Doomsday.
Yeah, especially because like now that you mention it, like they had the
You know,
they had the
I
scene in She-Hulk where they had them finding bootleg Avengers merchandise. And then
which
like, they've got like the thing in the Marvels where they've got I feel like they've been I feel like yes, in that like if superheroes did exist, you absolutely would have merchandise of them. However, I feel
well,
like they're pointing that out a little
mhm.
too hard.
I think so. Okay, with so with like the stuff in She-Hulk, I think a very big distinction is it's not the superheroes themselves creating this merchandise.
No,
It
no.
is some random dude who's trying
No,
to
it's
profit
it's
off it.
bootleg. That's the joke.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's
but also though I kind of feel like the ending of this is kind of messes with that scene in
it
She-Hulk
does.
because if until the this point in 2028 Avengers was not copyrighted, why was someone making bootleg Avengers stuff and not just making Avengers stuff? They have no reason to not make Avengers stuff if it's not copyrighted.
Uh, I think you have a point. I don't have a good explanation for that. Yeah,
Which that's I think that's a
I'm
bit
just
of an
trying to
oversight on their
it.
but like
Yeah,
you know
I'm just trying to
I saw people saying like oh they don't think that's Sam copywriting Avengers is going to be like this big thing and Doomsday. That was just probably a joke for this post credit scene. I would maybe believe that if it wasn't the Russo brothers who directed the scene.
Yeah,
The Russo brothers
yeah,
directed that scene instead of the director of Thunderbolts,
yeah.
which tells me that's exactly what we're seeing
Yeah,
in
the Russo
Doomsday.
brothers are probably gonna make that a running gimmick, and it's like it doesn't need to be. It doesn't really need to be. I don't need to be reminded in the universe with superheroes that people are also buying tatty superhero bullshit. Like, I get Kamala Khan being a weird fangirl. That works.
Yeah, it works in goofy shows like
Yeah.
Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. I don't know think that
No, it didn't
in
fit the
these
tone of
in
Thunderbolts, but they were
sign like
just post-credit
Thunderbolts
scene.
or Thunderbolts or Avengers Doomsday does not work.
No, no, you're right. I wouldn't want it in Avengers Doomsday.
Like
You're right.
it would like I want that my superheroes to be caring about out saving people, not who owns the name Avengers, who gets to
Yeah.
be the Avengers. Like that just it just feels like that is going to be such a dumb argument to have when we have this threat that's threatening the entire multiverse.
Well, yeah, and I honestly think that that is the point when it will get dropped. Like it might be a throwaway joke a little later if that's what they do, but we don't know what they're gonna do. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hold out hope depending or not, depending on
Mm-hmm.
whether or not how you feel about current MCU projects or Doomsday. Um, Doomsday is still a while off yet, so
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the Thunderbolts for what it was. I
Oh
loved
yeah.
Sentry. I loved him turning into the Void. It reminded me of that scene. I don't know if you've ever seen New Mutants, the New
Yeah,
Mutants
I've
movie
watched that.
with Anna Taylor Joy was the perfect magic, and I will die on that hill. But where like the demon bear breaks into the church and is just like, yeah, it had that same just sort of atmosphere, like that heavy, like as he's coming down and everybody's getting voided and it's doing the whole fucking atomic shadow thing, where that's what that is. You realize that, right? That's why they did that effect. It's to mimic the Hiroshima atomic shadows where the bombs fell in the blast and people got
Which
vaporized into the pavement.
which I don't
And
know how I feel about that. I feel like that's
I
a
think they did
weird
it.
thing to put something like that in a superhero film.
I think they did it very deliberately, and I think they did it very deliberately because they wanted him to be terrifying in an existential way. In the same way an atomic blast is terrifying. They wanted to invoke that sense of helplessness about it.
I just I don't like the idea of turning real life terrible events into entertainment. So like the idea of referencing something like that just feels
Well, it's not. I would say it's more a less a reference to, well, Hiroshima is really, and Nagasaki, those are really the only sites we've experienced where it happens, but it's not, it has happened in a recorded way, but
Mhm.
I think it's not so much referencing them as it is referencing the effect of an atomic bomb, because that is the effect of being in an atomic explosion.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I
I
don't think
also
they were so much referencing that as they were referencing like an atomic explosion.
I just understandable. It's just like it's just something that I find a little weird. Like I'm also someone who I don't want to watch the Oppenheimer film because I find it weird the idea that they created a entertainment and out of that horrible shit that happened.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I wouldn't I'm not interested in it either just because I don't find that story 3 hours entertaining. But
and also from what I've heard about it, it makes you feel bad for J. Robert Oppenheimer. I'm like, I don't want to feel bad for him. Why would I want to feel bad for him? This is the guy who created the atomic bomb. He is responsible for those deaths.
Yeah, I mean,
like, why would I want that? That sounds awful. Trying to make me feel bad for him.
Well, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't feel bad for him. And again, tying this back into Thunderbolts because I'm thematic like that. It's all about how redeemable somebody is on a core level, or if you feel like you can like look.
I absolutely think that there are redeemable
like
some
not
people
everybody's
can
a
be
monster all the time.
I think there absolutely are people who can be redeemed. But when you're responsible for creating the worst weapon in history, I don't know if that's redeemable.
Well, he wasn't setting out to create the worst weapon in history, just a good weapon. Unfortunately, when you set out to create a good weapon, you do set out to create a weapon. And he did famously say, now, I have become death. I am destroyer of worlds. He did famously lament what he did.
Even if he laments it, I'm not forgiving him for that.
I'm not telling you.
Like,
you
like that's like I feel like a film like that is trying to make you feel bad for him and be like, oh, he's just a little guy. Like,
yeah.
No, not.
Well,
he created this awful thing.
He did.
We do not need to we do not need to create something like that and create entertainment trying that makes you feel bad about him instead of the people that
instead of the victims. There you go. That's it. Instead of the victim should be the focus. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But I digress from.
You digressed from the Thunderbolts. Yeah, to wrap it back in, I do feel like that evocation. I personally liked it because you don't like dark things. I love a good existential crisis.
I think that this, even though it's dark, I love it too. Because it has so much heart in it.
It does. It has that emotional core.
And it also has a hilarious hilarious dynamic between the characters. And like,
it's a connection. It's no matter how bad you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what's been done to you, somebody out there will like you. That's what this story is.
The biggest thing that I care about within any movie or show is the characters. And if I enjoy the characters, I can enjoy what I'm watching. And and particularly, I love seeing different character dynamics, and there's so many hilarious, fun, action-packed dynamics between the characters in this, and I love that about it.
Yeah. And that's that again, it does. It speaks to that core of the film of like, yeah, you can be the outcast, you can be the B team or the left behind or the stringers, and somebody will be your friend. Somebody will like you, and you deserve to have friends.
Mm-hmm. I remember I don't remember who it was that said this, but I remember there was someone I was watching around the time that Avengers Infinity War or came out, and they were saying a big thing that they like about the MCU is that they make these dark things palatable.
Yes.
Like take something like Avengers Infinity War. If that didn't have the humor that it has in it, it would be one of the darkest films ever made because that it's a terrifying thought on half of all life going being blipped or just removed from existence. It's that like if you didn't have the humor in there, you didn't have these characters you can enjoy watching. It would be an unwatchable film. How much it would just horrible these actions are, these things that are happening.
Yeah, it would be an unbearable slog because you'd just never be able to escape from like the constant fact that what these people are fighting is like half of the universe disappearing.
Yeah, and I think that was such when I heard that, I've always looked back and I'm like, yeah, that is like one of the best things about how Marvel makes movies is it really does is like give you a palatable way to be able to watch these very dark things. I think. Is there anything else about Thunderbolts that you would like to talk about?
Just that I loved the sound design and the music design was on point. I noticed that it didn't have like Marvel's usual over reliance on like pops, like hit songs. Like, say what you want. I love how James Gunn can structure a scene to work with a song, but that has sort of exploded in popularity lately. And I do love that Thunderbolts sort of dials that back and gives you like the room to just experience like the raw scene there with the characters. It's, you're not distracted by the bombastic music and like the actions. In fact, it was a very like action light movie for what it was.
Oh yeah.
It was I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think it is worth the watch. I think the sound design is on point. I would not watch it. I would heavily advise anybody from not watching it if you had a bad day, though. Like, if you've had a bad day, if you're feeling like shit, do not do. Yeah. It is perfectly okay not to watch it. You have to be in a certain mood.
Understandable. One thing that I remember seeing someone in their review for this said that I think is a really good way of describing this film is this is Marvel's version of The Boys, but if The Boys was not written for edgy teenagers.
Yeah, if The Boys wasn't like written by someone who never grew out of their edgelord phase, like, yeah, this is a lot that I can see it.
I can absolutely see that being like this film is, and
it is a bunch of very broken people doing very broken things for that reason. Yeah. And it's honestly fucking refreshing. Like superheroes can be broken people, and it makes it like it harkens back to Stan Lee being like, no, like these people, when I made the X-Men, they were just people. They were just like, they were your average, everyday people that I thought I could find, not anyone extraordinary.
Oh, yeah. But, a couple things that I want to talk about. One, I'm sure you've probably all seen with like a lot of things from Marvel lately of how people complaining that the trailers show too much of what's happening in the film. Which I've never really honestly felt like that was the case, but I do think that there's something to be said of like it's weird that that people aren't having that complaint about this film particularly,
Yeah.
while they had it with all the rest of these films. Because I would say honestly, out of all the films Marvel's made recently, this is probably the one where I had the least amount of surprise with anything when I saw in theaters because everything was just about exactly what the trailer showed. The even down to the what was and the act like is a big twist in the film of Bob being this being Sentry, the Void. Like they acted like that's this big secret twist in the film, but
No.
that's shown in the trailer.
Yeah, it's
Like
not
that,
really a big twist or anything. Even the movie
but
doesn't
I
really
just think
present it
that's
as a big twist.
but
Like,
I just think it's really weird
yeah,
how this film people aren't acting like that, and I think it's just because they like this film.
yeah,
But
that's
like the
the
rest, but
difference.
all the rest of these things from Marvel lately, they always complain that the trailer's showing too much. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is it different here?
Well,
Here is it?
the,
It feels
I
kind of performative if you're not also complaining about it with films you like.
yeah, yeah, I would say that I don't think the trailers needed to hide that Sentry slash Bob was the quote unquote villain
I don't.
slash because I don't even think the movie hid it. Like there is
Mhm.
no real like the
I think it
antagonist is
was
mostly
kind of.
Valentina, not him for the
Mhm.
most part. And then once I pointed this out to someone as we were driving back because I was with my friend. We watched it. We went. I came back. I'm just fresh. These are my fresh thoughts. Um, is that this movie like and Marvel in general has been going through a period where they don't really have an antagonist for their story. Like grief has become the central antagonist of the MCU right now.
Mhm.
Grief has like driving people to do bad things, and
Mhm.
I think that's a lot of what this
Well,
movie was saying is that he's like it's not a twist, he's not so much the villain as he is a man that we have introduced that you know now that has been pushed too
mhm.
far like
Yeah, I can understand that. I just think I just don't like it. Like that, it's been this complaint people have had with all these other things, but they aren't with this. It's like the amount of times I've heard people say that a like say with the She-Hulk TV show of like, oh, Marvel must not think that she can stand on her own, or Marvel baited us into watching it because they showed a few seconds of Daredevil in the show in the trailer.
yeah
Why is it that you have a problem with that, but sign like this where Sentry, which at least to me, I did feel like that was meant to be a big twist in the film. I like that was they still had that in basically all of the trailers. Or it's like,
yeah well
why is that sign that that these people aren't complaining about,
they
but sign like Daredevil, popping up for a few seconds in She-Hulk trailer, they do complain about.
it's because they already needed an excuse to get mad if you ask
Mm-hmm.
me. And we know that. We know grifters are a
Oh
problem.
yeah,
I,
it's
but
all I think
I
so performative.
think the
And
movie
yeah,
telegraphed Bob's twist so far, and he's clearly not an emotionally stable individual. He's
yeah,
clearly not like the smartest or most put together in the box. That's the entire point. Like, he's the dude that happened to survive and now he's left to be the superhero because there's no one else, not because he's the perfect person for the job or anything, but because that's what you've got.
yeah. God, there was something else I thought I was going to try and bring up and talk about, but I'm blanking on it now.
I will say this was a very quiet movie. Like I pointed out earlier, like they didn't use a lot of pop songs. The
Mhm.
sound design wasn't overwhelming. There wasn't a lot of background noise. It was mostly like just intense silence, and I think that was a good choice. I think that fit the
Mm-hmm.
vibe so well. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times, I don't know if you have tinnitus, but I do, like the ear ringing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you sit near speakers in a theater, you can like catch certain sounds that they underpitch in the soundtrack. And there were a lot of tinnitus sounds in and through that movie. And I think like the whole thing had this very like dream-like vibe that I really dug. Like this very just sort of that panic on the verge of a breakdown, you know? Like I
I can
don't
see
know
that.
your situation. I don't know if you've ever had to deal with that. If you have,
Uh,
condolences. I'm sorry, my friend.
I definitely
Um,
understand that feeling. Yeah. I can definitely see that being inside the film. I think so I remember what the other thing was I wanted to bring up.
go ahead.
Um, so maybe I'm just weird in thinking this, but I feel like the bigots and the grifters they seem to be more okay with with progressive themes being in films and when it's signed that's dark like this.
Yeah, well, and again,
And I
it's all
think it's
media
very
bias.
much I think it's very much because they because sign that's dark like this is, and not to say that the film is made for them or anything, but I think it's something that's dark like this appeals to their sense of toxic masculinity. If that
Yes,
makes sense.
yeah, 100% appeals to that
You
sense of
like you
toxic
see the same.
masculinity.
You see the same of like there's not at least before they had a sexual assault scene. And there wasn't the bigots didn't seem to have a problem with the Andor Star Wars show. They
Well,
they
they are now, but
well yes, but like when season one was coming out, they
yeah,
weren't
oh yeah,
having any problem with it. Even though even though from what I've heard, that's one of Star Wars' most progressive shows actually. The
it's very anti like
and then you
uh
have and this is like the literal showrunner of the show brought up saying that this was not made for them and when some one of them got mad at him for defending progressive values it was the original Daredevil show they love that shit but
oh
it's
yeah.
not but it's very clearly actually a pretty progressive show, but they think it's for them because it's dark and serious.
Yeah, it's one of those
It
they have
was
very
hilarious though.
surface level media literacy.
Mm-hmm.
They only have very surface level media literacy.
Yeah,
They're not
absolutely.
analyzing anything all that deep. And a
It
lot of the
really
times
was
they're like
hilarious
Daffy
though
Duck.
how the showrunner of the original old Daredevil show was arguing with them
Oh yeah.
on social media a few weeks ago, and he was and they were like, how could you follow these woke ideas?" And he was like, "You know that the show that I made has all of these ideas in it, and like this, I did not make that show for you people." It's hilarious.
Like
It
I
was
did not
absolutely
make this.
hilarious.
Yeah. Well,
To
and more
see.
creators need to step up and tell these like no, no media literacy, like grifting bullshitters that this is not for them.
Yeah, and it's and
They've got about the
I think
depth
that
of a
there's a lot of
teaspoon,
people
let's be honest.
can't see that that is like a big thing that's happened. Like when shows are dark and serious, they don't seem to get nearly as much pushback from the grifters. And
Oh
I
yeah,
think that,
yeah.
but I think it's such an interesting thing that how they that is
Well,
absolutely the case, and that
they're like Daffy Duck. If you can convince them that something is their idea, they're happy with it.
mm-hmm. Like no, and well, do you have
Well, it
anything
was
that's
like
more humorous and whimsical that's when they seem to always have have a problem with it.
Yeah, when it's more humor. Well, yeah, when it's more humorous and
and
whimsical, or like,
particularly
and
when it's
particularly
people
when
that
it's
aren't
loud and
white
flashy and not
straight
white and
males,
straight males. Well,
but
I remember hearing somebody being pissy about Echo, right? And they were like, "Oh, Echo failed so bad, and Marvel learned never to do that again." You don't want to know what the exact next show they released after Echo was? Fucking Agatha all along.
no,
You
the next show. Wait, was Echo before or after Secret Invasion?
Echo was after Secret
Okay,
Invasion.
because,
Yeah, Echo was after Secret Invasion. Yeah, so the next show they released was Agatha All Along, the weirdest, gayest thing they've ever done. And it was like one of the most popular too. So it's like, oh yeah, they learned that lesson all the way to the fucking bank. What do you mean? Like,
yeah, and even Echo, I'm pretty sure Echo was popular.
it was.
Like these people, like they're always being like, all these woke shows, they're not, nobody's watching. Like, that's bullshit. Like even like they'll cite numbers from third party sources to say that they weren't popular, even though Disney releases themselves releases the numbers of subscribers that they get on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
and you can see when say something like She-Hulk came out, they gained a lot of subscribers.
Yeah,
which is more telling to me of how popular it was than some third party source that's not related to Disney saying they got terrible viewership.
Yeah.
Like that's but then
they don't exactly have Nielsen
sadly,
ratings for streaming services is the thing.
But then sadly, just this past week, an article came out with quotes from Kevin Feige that very much sounded like he was trying to appease those kinds of fans that hated the shows and believed the shows weren't popular. Or I'm like, that really didn't need to come out and the fact that there were actually these quotes from Kevin Feige saying these things feels like an insult to the people who have enjoyed Marvel stuff since Endgame, and also an insult to the people who worked on these shows. Like, why is it like I don't think that a studio head should be insulting any of their projects that they've made, because there are people who worked on those. Sadly, my guest for this episode, Ode, call me cousin, and had to go very suddenly because their computer crashed. But thank you to Call Me Cousin for coming on. I really appreciate it. I loved talking about the film with you. And everyone on. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love your thoughts on the episodes, so please let me know. If you'd like to listen more from me, please subscribe. Many more game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.